Joe Biden pledging to kill blue-collar jobs for a green economy. It's a move that is drawing comparisons to what Hillary Clinton calls her biggest mistake in 2016. Watch this.
I'm the only candidate which has a policy about how to bring economic opportunity using clean, renewable energy as the key into coal country, because we're going to put a lot of coal miners and coal companies out of business.
Let's bring in Scott Bolden, former D.C. Democratic primary chairman and former chair of the National Bar Association PAC. Killing blue-collar jobs, I mean, is that not like shooting yourself in the foot, especially if you're a Democrat running for president?
Yeah, well, I don't think so, because in either one of those cases, and I think Biden's much more likable and got a lot more credibility with blue-collar workers.
He won't be likable if he kills blue-collar jobs, let me tell you that.
Well, but that's not exactly what he said. What he said was, would you be willing to sacrifice blue-collar jobs, i.e. coal country or coal miners, in exchange for a green economy or to give them higher-paying jobs and to train them? The answer is always going to be yes, because the coal industry hasn't improved under Donald Trump, and because the green economy is coming, because global warming is real, regardless of how the Republicans think it's a hoax. And so what you really are getting from Biden is straight talk with a lot of credibility and a lot of higher paying jobs with well-trained workers, and that can be coal miners and their transition to the green economy. It happened under Obama, and it can happen again. It's happening by itself anyway, because we got to do something about global warming.
Does this hurt Biden in states like Michigan and Pennsylvania? I mean, just speaking Pennsylvania alone, I lived in Wilkes-Barre, Pennsylvania, and I know the coal mining community there well.
Yeah,
if you were going to tell all these coal miners you're out of a job, but don't worry, we'll find you something better, where is the guarantee? Because you don't put people out of jobs, okay, unless you absolutely can guarantee them better work and higher wages. And there's no one who can do that.
And well, the Biden and the Democrats certainly have a plan, and that's what they're talking about, transitioning those coal miners and those blue-collar workers to higher-paying jobs. Now, the key is this. Is he believable? Can he convince them that that's a way to make more money, get better trained, and build this economy? I think he's got credibility. Hillary Clinton, on the other hand, I don't think she had a whole lot of credibility, and you saw the result, whether the Russians were involved or not. But I think Biden is telling the truth, and I think if he can convince them, and he's got a lot of credibility, then it'll sell. But you can't kill those blue-collar jobs and give them nothing. You got to have a plan to transition them into the green economy, and I think that's an important distinction, as you probably well know. That
is critical, that there has to be a smooth transition.
Right.
My question to you is, do you think that Biden realizes that he's really got to appease progressives here if he actually really wants to win this nomination? I mean, we just talked about the fact that, some Democratic insiders believe that now Bernie Sanders has a real shot of winning the nomination. I hope Biden's listening.
Well, I think he is. Bernie Sanders has been the most consistent Democratic presidential candidate in this race. He was pretty consistent in the prior race, too. And so the other candidates have gone up and down in the polls, including Biden and Buttigieg and so forth and so on. But I think Biden's different in this case. I think he tries to do what he can with the left, because you can't ignore them. But they're not going to be dispositive of this race. I've often said on this network that the Democratic Party is more moderate and more conservative than the GOP and the media give them credit for. They cover the AOCs of the world, but the reality is the majority of these voters are moderate, Democratic voters are moderate and conservative, and that's why Joe is leading, including because of the black vote.
Meantime, Congresswoman Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez has constantly railed against billionaires during her time in Washington. She has failed to mention that billionaire and 2020 Dem Tom Steyer donated to her 2018 campaign. Oops. Here's Ocasio-Cortez just last week during a campaign rally for Bernie Sanders. Watch.
For anyone who accuses us for instituting purity tests, it's called having values. It's called having standards for your conduct, to not be funded by billionaires, but to be funded by the people, which is different.
It's called having a bad memory, apparently. I mean, is this totally hypocritical? I mean, could this hurt Bernie Sanders when he's got AOC there railing against billionaire money at his rallies while she herself has benefited from billionaire donations?
It's called winning, and you can't win without money. And when she took that donation, not from Tom, but from his former fund manager family that he was a part of, she was a candidate to win, and she upset the incumbent. And so I don't think $2,700 from one billionaire is dispositive of winning, but you sure aren't going to be turning down any money. Listen, money is always going to be a part of politics. You've got the Supreme Court that says you've got a First Amendment right under the United decision, and while these purity tests are important, what they're really talking about is money that corrupts the election, the campaign, and the elected official. Because money's not corruptible. Individuals, candidates, or elected officials are the ones that are corruptible. And so what she's really talking about is on a much broader basis that if billionaires who give millions to various campaigns and independent PACs, if they dominate and overwhelm the vote and they skew the result, that's a real problem.
Okay.
But,
well, a note
I don't
to
think
AOC,
$2,700 from Tom Steyer is going to change it.
Poor people do not donate $2,700 to a campaign, whether you're a millionaire or a billionaire. They
don't. But if they donate $10 or $100 and they make far less, that's a very important voice for them and an important investment for them.
All right. Thank you very much. We talked about it.
Thank you.
Scott, thank you.